So I've been set a challenge to do a live Facebook, so that's what I'm doing. So today I'm going to talk about what a celebrant is. I know that I had no idea when I first started my celebrant training. I really started to find out a lot more about the difference between a celebrant and a registrar. And I'm sure that most of us understand what a registrar is. They are the people that normally officiate at weddings, if you go to a registry office, or if you have an event at some other sort of venue like a hotel. When my daughter had got married, she had a registrar that came to her wedding venue, and at that time I knew nothing about the option of a celebrant. I thought if you got married you had to have a celebrant or a registrar at your wedding. So actually there are options which I didn't know about and many of you might not know about. So a celebrant is somebody who conducts a personalised ceremony. So that could be a personalised wedding ceremony, it could be vow renewals, it could be a naming ceremony, or it could be a funeral ceremony. But there is no restriction with how a celebrant runs a ceremony as opposed to with a registrar. So when my daughter got married, she had a registrar-led wedding and she had 3 options for her ceremony. And there was a very set script and it couldn't be deviated from. She couldn't have any personal vows or any personal commitments. She had to choose between one of those 3 scripts, and that was how her ceremony took place on the day. And I didn't know any different at the time. I've subsequently found out that a celebrant offers something which a registrar cannot. So a celebrant enables you to completely personalise your day. So for example, if I was doing your wedding ceremony, I would come and see you, spend an hour and a half with you, really talking about your love journey. So where you met, when you met, how old you were, how you met, who caught each other's eye first, and really understand how you've got to the point where you've made a decision to get married. So we would be talking about, as I said, how you met, maybe how different people were involved in your love journey. Certainly when I was chatting to my daughter about hers, we talked about different friends that were involved and encouraging them to speak, different places they went to with their friends. The first time they met, she met his parents, the first time he met us. So it was really interesting for me as her mum to really listen to her story. I thought I knew her story, but there were lots of elements of it I didn't know. And actually when I went through their story with them, they really enjoyed that reminiscing. And going through that story, you're asking lots of questions about what do you love about each other? What have you learned about each other? What special attributes each one of you had? Have you got funny stories about your relationship? So when you are working with a couple to write their script, you are getting into the nitty-gritty of how they met, why they're in love with each other, what keeps them together, what they love about each other. And then you start looking at maybe what their plans are for. So what they're looking forward to sharing in their lives together, what goals, what achievements, as well as looking at why they love each other now, what their hobbies are. So you're really gathering all this information. And when I did a session with a couple at the weekend, at the end of the session, they were really inspired about their wedding. They'd started to book their wedding and they'd got their florist and they'd got their venue. But after I chatted with them, they both said that they were now really excited about their wedding. And when I talked with them about how I would build the script on the background of the conversation I'd had with them, they were really into it. They loved relaying their story to me, and they loved the fact that that story would be relayed to all the people that would be going to their wedding, and that lots of people in that wedding are going to be referred to. So when you're going through their love story, you're going to be bringing in maybe the best friend who set them up on the date, or maybe the girlfriends that the bride was talking to about their partner and whether he liked them or whether she didn't like them. So it's such a wonderful opportunity to create a script where the people who are at that day, at that wedding, are going to be brought along in that story. Some of the people are going to be literally actually involved in the story of how they got to where they are, but they're going to be brought along in that story. They're going to be weaved into that story. And then if there are particular elements that they'd like to include, a symbolic element, when I was doing my training, and I have my daughter and her husband to help me with my training, they referred to a bottle of wine they had when they got engaged, and luckily they still had a bottle of this wine. So during the ceremony that I created for them, we actually had some of this wine and created a little symbolic act where they exchanged glasses and drank this wine that they'd had when they got engaged, and it was lovely. And it was something really meaningful to them. The couple that I was chatting to at the weekend were talking about how when he proposed, he got this wonderful bouquet of red roses, and we started talking about how maybe red roses could form a symbolic part of their ceremony. So that's really the amazing thing about having a celebrant-led ceremony. You haven't got a set script. Your script is written about you, about your love story, about the people that have been part of that love story. You can bring in people into your ceremony. So if you've got friends or family members that you want to play a part in that ceremony, you can. You can write your own vows. So some people like to write their own vows. And I can help them with that. I can help them write their vows or give them a template of how they could write their vows. Other people might like me to write their vows, which is great. I'm happy to do that because I've got their story, and I will use information that they've given to me about their love story so that when I write their vows, they are personal, using the words that they have used to describe each other and what they love about each other. So the script is personalised, the vows and the commitments are personalised. You can have readings or you can have poems. I recently wrote a naming ceremony, and I brushed up on my poetry skills and wrote a couple of poems in that naming ceremony. So it could be something bespoke and personalised to you, or it could be a script or a poem or a reading that you choose, which you could invite a family member or a friend to read, or I could read it for you. You can also have live music during your ceremony. So when you have a registrar-led ceremony, you can only have live music either before or after the ceremony. So you might have live music, maybe you've got a quartet or perhaps a soloist singing as you process up the aisle, and then you might have that live music as you and your partner then go back down the aisle. Well, actually, in a celebrant-led wedding, you could have live music halfway through the ceremony if you like. So if you've got a family member that sings, or if you've invited some singers to perform for you later on in the evening, partway through the ceremony, you could stop and have somebody sing for you. So that is the beauty of a celebrant-led wedding. There is nothing that you can't have. The other amazing thing is that a celebrant-led wedding can be held anywhere. There are no restrictions. You don't have to have it in a licensed venue. You could have it in any venue that you like. So you could be sat on the beach, you could be in the New Forest, you could be in your own back garden, you could be in a stately home, you could be in your favourite restaurant if they would allow you to have your wedding there. So a celebrant-led wedding can take place absolutely anywhere. So it could even take place in somewhere where there's zero cost, like on the beach or in the forest. So there are no restrictions over where you have it, over how many people are there, over what you have in your script, what your vows say, who you might include in your ceremony. It's completely up to you. There are some legal aspects that you have to take care of. So to have your marriage legalised, you would need to go to the registry office in Bournemouth, Poole and Christchurch, which is the area that I live in. You can have a ceremony where just you, your partner and 2 witnesses go along with you, and it costs you £57. They do it on a Wednesday every week. So you pop up to the registry office, you spend 10 minutes there, you do the legals before your wedding day, and then at your ceremony day, you can have whatever you want personalised to you. So for all those people who didn't know what a celebrant did, I hope you know a little bit more about what a celebrant does now. For anybody that was thinking about, do I want a registrar-led wedding or do I want a celebrant-led wedding? I hope you are now hooked on having a celebrant-led wedding, because it can be whatever you want it to be. The legals are easy, and your celebrant can make sure that you do everything you need to do, and they will guide you through every step of the way. So I think I've completed my challenge. I've done my Facebook Live. Hopefully for anybody that watches this, they will have found out a little bit more information about what a celebrant is, why you should have a celebrant, and what the difference is between a celebrant-led wedding and a registrar-led wedding. And hopefully anybody watching this will now have a celebrant-led wedding. Thank you. Thanks for watching.